Hello, Mr. Reynolds here. Just wanted to share with you guys some of what we have been doing relating to place value and number here in year 3. So the first thing that I have here is a sheet we've been working on, which is practicing to spell the numbers from 1 to 20 and beyond. Most of our students know how, or know what these numbers are rather, but making sure that we're spelling them correctly is something that we want them to be able to do as well. Now, the real deep thinking comes in this section here, where once we've written the words from 1 to 20, there are only 10 more words that we need to be able to write every single whole number into the millions. And so thinking deeply about it, some of our students have been able to figure out, well, I need to know the word 30, and that'll allow me to do every number in the 30s, 31, 32, 33, 34. And the next thing I would probably need to know is 40, etc. And then they get into hundreds, thousands, and millions. So the next thing we've been doing is looking at how to represent numbers, specifically numbers that go into the thousands. So this number is not 1, 2, 3, 4, but 1,234. And so learning about this number and numbers above and beyond this and how we can represent them is really important for us. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the difference between expanded form and expanded notation. So expanded form shows the value of each place, whereas expanded notation shows each digit multiplied by its place. So this number that I've written down would take the form of 1,000 plus 200 plus 30 plus 4. If we're talking about expanded form, and as expanded notation, it would look more like 1 times 1,000 plus 2 times 100 plus 3 times 10 plus 4 times 1. Now, also, when we are trying to draw these out or represent them with some sort of a picture, expanded form we would use the MAB blocks or base 10 blocks, and we'd say, well, we have 1,000 and we have 200s, we have 3 10s, and I just draw the 10s as straight lines, and we have 4 1s, which I do as dots. We always want to make sure that the kids are making pictures of these things but not taking too much time to actually draw those pictures. Now, expanded notation, each thing might look exactly the same. We've got 1 of 1,000, we've got 2 hundreds, we've got 3 10s, and we've got 4 1s. But we want to show the students that they have different values, even though they may look the same, by saying, well, this one is 1,000. These two here are hundreds. Sorry if you can't read that. These are 10s. And these are 1s. They might look the same, but we know that they have different values. Now, moving along, we also have numbers in written form versus number nicknames. Now, numbers in written form we talked about before already, so our number above would be 1,000. 200 and 34. Whereas a number nickname is something that we use to allow students to find the pattern within numbers a little bit easier. In the English language, the numbers are a little bit confusing because when we get to the number 10, it should just repeat over because we are in a base 10 system. But we have these weird, strange words like 11, 12, 13, which don't really appear anywhere else. Whereas when you speak certain languages, you'll notice that instead of the numbers being something brand new, like in Putonghua, for example, where when we get to 10, shi, we have 11, shi, which is basically 10-1, 10-2, 10-3. And that really shows a pattern a lot better than the way it does in the English language. So sometimes we have these things called number nicknames. And so for the number 11, instead of calling it 11, I would actually call it 1, 10, 1. Really simple. 20, 22 would be 2, 10, 2. 153 would be 100, 5, 10, 3, etc. So if we had this number, 1,234, it would be 1,200 and then 3, 10, 4. It's just a different way of saying it, not that dissimilar from written form, but really helps to show the pattern for things. All right, and the final thing I wanted to show you today was something that we're working on now, which is our mental addition strategies. Obviously, being able to memorize all the numbers up to 20 and all the different combinations, there are a lot of them. So we try and look at it systematically. So one thing that all of our students are really capable of doing is plussing or minus by 0. So that would be the first thing that I'd make sure that every student understands that concept, is adding zeros. If they've got that, then you can see all these ones in red, they've got down. No problems whatsoever. The next thing that I would probably look at personally is, where would it be? Plussing 10. Well, are we good at adding tens? If we are, that's really great. Do we understand that concept? If we do, we've got a whole outside of this box figured out. If we can add tens and we can add 0, we're starting to be right on our way. The goal, of course, is to get this with automaticity. So if somebody says, what's 4 plus 10, 5 plus 10, 7 plus 10, 10 plus 4, they can get it really, really quickly. The next thing that I would probably go for, which is not written on here, is just adding 1. All of our students, with a little bit of practice, are going to be able to add ones, and you can see how our box is starting to get smaller and smaller. Now, once we get a little bit more complicated, the next thing that I would probably say all of our students should be practicing is doubles. And doubles, take this nice diagonal line down the middle here. And doubles are something that we can practice together very easily. I want students to be able, when they hear something like 6 or 8 or 9, to know the double of that really, really quickly. Now, the next thing I would probably go to after doubles is making tens. And making tens can also be practiced by just saying numbers below 10 and seeing if the students can figure out which number is going to then get them to 10. So if I say 6, I want students to be thinking 4. If I say 3, I want them thinking 7. And those numbers for making tens also take a diagonal across our little chart here. You can see lots of our things are starting to get filled in. After that, I'd probably go with doubles plus 1, or as I would call them, near doubles. So if I know that 6 plus 6 is 12, then 5 plus 6 should be 1 less, or 7 plus 6 should be 1 more. If I know that 8 plus 8 is 16, if I see 7 plus 8, I should be thinking, well, that's almost a double, not quite. I know that the double is this, and I can get it a little bit quicker. So here are some ways that we can practice. Those near doubles, by the way, on this chart are in yellow. They also talk about doubles plus 2, strategies for adding with 9, and all of these are great strategies. The point of this really is that we have a good way to practice our numbers where we're not just thinking about every single number and practicing them all the same, because we have mastered a lot of things already, and we want to make sure that what we're practicing is the things that we still need to work on. Now, a really, really good way to do that is actually to use this program right here, which is on Math is Fun, a great website with a terrible name. And this is the Math is Fun trainer. So you can do addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, but for the time being, we're focusing on addition and subtraction. What I like to tell the students is to make their workout time 1 minute, make the cutoff time for each one 8 seconds, and then to practice each one in succession until they can get, 30 to 40 questions. 30 questions is just fine in under 1 minute, or in 1 minute, I should say. So for this one, you would practice, well, let's do the 1 + 1 to 4 + 4. And you can see on here, it's really easy for me to just type in the numbers that are on here. And what's lovely about this is it also remembers what I did the last time that I was on. So if there's an area that I need to focus on and I'm making mistakes in, it will actually ask those questions more frequently than some of the other ones. This can be done on your iPad, it can be done on your computer. It's up to you which way you want to do it. Now I'm not going to do all of these, but you can see the pace that I was setting there is pretty quick, and some of the students will be able to do that, and some of them will just need some more practice. They can do this with subtraction. As we get later into the year, we can practice with some multiplication, some division. It's a really good way to do some training and to get some good feedback along the way.